You're an embarrassment to the United States. If Russia invades NATO allies, are you going to recommend to the president that we fulfill our Article 5 obligations?
Well, Russia has not invaded NATO allies.
No.
President Trump
No. I reclaim my time. Yes or no? It's that simple.
There's Article 5 in NATO, which we recognize.
So is the answer yes or no?
That's what Article 5 is.
Representative Salud Carbajal of California, a former Marine himself, did not mince words as he confronted Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over the deployment of National Guard troops and U.S. Marines to Los Angeles.
As a gentleman from California, Mr. Carbajal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It shouldn't come as no surprise that I have serious concerns with both the deployment of the National Guard and the Marines to Los Angeles. I served in the Marine Corps. We are trained to be war fighters, not for crowd control. Everyone here should be alarmed that the president has sent armed forces into a city against the wishes of a governor and mayor. I am concerned this administration is purposely escalating the situation with this step and politicizing our armed forces in the process. Let's call it for what it is. It's political theater. Hegseth, are the Marines in Los Angeles ordered to protect property by any means necessary?
Sir, I would say the ICE officers and police officers being attacked is not political theater. The National Guard and Marines,
just yes or no. Just yes or no.
The National Guard and Marines have the full authority to protect federal ICE agents.
Yes or no.
Can
you just say yes or no? This isn't Fox anymore. Just yes or no.
They're there to protect federal agents and federal.
Another BS answer. Under the SRUF, the use of force, are Marines allowed to fire warning shots?
No.
Now that's more like it. Isn't that easy? Well, I'm going to beat this drum because you refuse to take responsibility. Will you take responsibility for having made a mistake? Not to mention, many people would say break the law in participating in the Signal group chat that included a journalist, your wife, your brother, where classified information was shared.
Sir, every way I communicate is authorized.
Okay, if you want to say that. I have called for your resignation. I didn't think you were qualified before your confirmation, and you have done nothing to inspire confidence in your ability to lead competently. You broke the law in sharing classified information, and in doing so, endangered the lives of our service members that you are responsible for. Your inability to hold yourself accountable makes you incapable to lead. This alone makes you unfit to be the Secretary of Defense. Secretary, do you think the United States should continue supporting Ukraine in its fight against Russia, a nation that is hostile towards the United States?
Well, as you know, sir, President Trump is committed to peace.
No, I just want yes or no answers.
Today, the United States has spent billions of dollars.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Over years.
Just yes or no. Can I get a yes or no out of you?
We continue to send.
Come on.
Presidential drawdown.
It's that easy. Kindergartners can give me a yes or no. Yes or no.
Yes, we support peace in Ukraine.
Come on. Is this really leadership? You're an embarrassment to the United States. If Russia invades NATO allies, are you going to recommend to the president that we fulfill our Article 5 obligations?
Well, Russia has not invaded NATO allies.
No.
President Trump.
No. I reclaim my time. Yes or no? It's that simple.
There's Article 5 in NATO, which we recognize.
So is the answer yes or no?
That's what Article 5 is, yes.
Good. I'm glad you brought yourself to saying yes. Do you think political allegiance to Trump is a requirement for serving our nation, either in uniform or a civilian in the department?
I'm incredibly proud, as are millions of Americans.
No. Not today, Hegseth. Yes or no?
Congressman, you know what a silly question that is.
But it's silly enough to warrant a very straightforward answer. Yes or no?
We all support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
You know what?
We're proud to
I'm not going to
President
waste
Trump.
my time anymore. You're not worthy of my attention or my questions. You're an embarrassment to this country. You're unfit to lead. And there's been bipartisan members of Congress that have called for your resignation. You should just get the hell out and let somebody competently lead this department.
Mr. Chairman, do we not have any decorum in here?
Thank you very much. I yield my time.
Gentleman yields back. And I would urge everybody to remember and maintain a decorum suitable for this chamber with their further comments.
Carbajal made it clear that his objections were not abstract or partisan. They were rooted in lived experience. He reminded the room that Marines are trained as warfighters, not as crowd control units. That distinction matters because the U.S. military has long operated under strict legal and cultural boundaries that separate domestic law enforcement from military force. Carbajal warned that sending armed troops into a major American city against the wishes of both the governor and the mayor should alarm everyone, regardless of party. Subscribe now if you want coverage that explains why those boundaries exist and what happens when they are tested. Carbajal accused the administration of intentionally escalating tensions and politicizing the armed forces. He called the deployment political theater and pressed Hegseth on whether Marines in Los Angeles had been ordered to protect property by any means necessary. Hegseth pushed back, saying the situation involved ICE and law enforcement officers under attack and rejected the idea that this was political theater. But Carbajal repeatedly cut him off, demanding simple yes or no answers. The frustration was palpable. When Carbajal asked whether Marines were authorized under rules governing the use of force to fire warning shots, Hegseth answered no. That brief exchange revealed something important for viewers. Despite the presence of troops, there are still strict limitations on how force can be used domestically, limitations that exist precisely because the military is not meant to police civilians. Subscribe if you want continued coverage that explains not just what happens in these rooms, but why it matters to democracy, civil liberties, and national security. Carbajal did not stop there. He moved to U.S. foreign policy, pressing Hegseth on continued support for Ukraine in its war against Russia. Again, he demanded yes or no answers. Hegseth repeatedly deflected, referencing President Trump's stated commitment to peace rather than answering directly. Subscribe if you want to understand why clarity in national security testimony matters. The exchange escalated again when Carbajal asked whether Hegseth would recommend honoring NATO's Article 5 obligations if Russia were to invade a NATO ally. After repeated interruptions and refusals to answer directly, Hegseth finally said yes. Carbajal then asked one final, deeply pointed question. He asked whether political allegiance to Donald Trump was a requirement for serving the nation, either in uniform or as a civilian in the Department of Defense. Hegseth called the question silly and avoided a direct answer, instead invoking the Constitution. Carbajal ended the exchange by saying he would not waste any more time, calling Hegseth an embarrassment to the country and reiterating that bipartisan members of Congress had called for his resignation. He concluded by telling Hegseth to step aside and allow someone competent to lead the department. The chairman was forced to intervene, urging members to maintain decorum as the hearing descended into open hostility. What viewers should understand is that this was not just about tone or tempers. This confrontation exposed deeper concerns about the militarization of domestic policy, the politicization of the armed forces, the handling of classified information, and whether civilian readers are respecting the legal limits of their power. If you want continued coverage that explains not just what happens in these rooms, but why it matters to democracy, civil liberties, and national security, make sure you subscribe.